Hey guys, come on downstairs. We're bringing a little NCAA Football 14 content to you today in Mama's Basement. It is week 7, and we're just getting it underway with a week preview. We play Cal Poly this week, and let's start things off with a look at the new coaches poll and the top 25. Number 1, the Clemson Tigers, 5-0, beat Syracuse 42-13. They will be at Boston College this week. Number 2, Ohio State, 4-0. They had a bye week. They will be at Maryland. Oklahoma comes in at number 3. They're 5-0. They beat TCU 49-28. They will play Texas in a neutral site game. Number 4, Florida, undefeated, beat Arkansas. They'll be at number 20, LSU this week. And number 5, Utah at 5-0, squeaked by UCLA. And they will host number 10, Stanford this week. Number 6, Georgia at 4-1. They beat Tennessee. They will host Missouri this week. Number 7, Alabama at 4-1, beat Georgia State. They'll be on the road at Kentucky. Number 8, Nebraska, still undefeated. They beat Illinois. They will host Purdue this week. Michigan, 4-1, beat Minnesota. They will be at Penn State this week, who's ranked number 16. And Stanford is 5-0. They beat Washington handily. And they'll be at number 5, Utah this week. That'll be a great matchup of those two Pac-12 teams. Another good matchup in the Pac-12, number 11, Oregon. They beat Colorado last week, and they'll be at number 12, Washington this week. Washington moves to number 12 after a loss to Stanford a week ago. Number 13, Notre Dame is 4-2. They beat Arizona State 28-24. They have a bye. Virginia at number 14 remains undefeated by beating Ball State. They will be at Wake. And number 15, Auburn at 4-1, beat Ole Miss, and they will host Youngstown State this week. Number 16, Penn State, 4-1. They beat Indiana a week ago. They are hosting number 9, Michigan. Number 17, Texas A&M at 5-1, blanked South Dakota State 52-0. They will be at Ole Miss this week. Number 18, Michigan State, 4-1. They lost to Wisconsin. They will be at Indiana. UCF at 3-1, lost to Memphis. They will host Rutgers. And number 20, LSU at 3-2, beat Mississippi State, and they will host Florida. Number 21, Memphis at 4-0. They beat UCF 24-21. They will be at Houston in another great matchup in the American Athletic Conference. Iowa comes in at number 22. They had a bye last week. They will be at Illinois. Houston at 5-0, beat Louisville 17-10. They are playing Memphis. Florida State comes in at number 24. Miami at number 25, and both of those teams have byes this week. All right, let's check out the conference standings as we get into week 7. In the ACC, the Atlantic Division, 2 undefeated teams in conference are Clemson and Florida State, and they look like they are headed for a showdown shortly. I can't remember when they play each other, but it's coming up. Wake Forest is 2-1. They're 5-1 overall. Wake Forest, 1 win away already from bowl eligibility. Let's look at the other division, the Coastal Division. Virginia Tech and Virginia are both undefeated in conference. Virginia Tech has a loss on the season. It came in week 1 to Alabama. Virginia is undefeated overall, too, at 5-0. Duke is 2-1. Miami is 1-1. North Carolina 1-2. Georgia Tech 1-3. Pittsburgh 0-3 in conference play. Miami is 4-1 overall. Duke is 4-2 overall. All right, let's look at the American Athletic Conference. I don't know. This is not really the North Division. I don't know what the divisions are now. It was misnamed, I believe. Houston, 2-0 in conference, 5-0 overall. I'll get it straightened out in year number 2. Memphis, 2-0. They are 4-0 overall. Cincinnati, still undefeated at 4-0, 1-0 in conference. Tulane has already played 4 conference games, and they're 3-1. Let's look at the other division in the AAC. Tulsa at 3-1 and 5-1 overall. UCF, 2-1 in conference, 3-1 overall. Temple, 1-1, 2-2. SMU 0-1, they're 1-3 in conference. Navy 0-3, they're 1-3 overall. And South Florida 0-3, they are 1-4 overall. Let's move on now to the Big 12, where Oklahoma sits at 5-0. They're 2-0 in conference. Baylor 1-0, 4-0 in conference. Oklahoma State is 3-2, but they haven't lost yet in Big 12 play. They are 2-0. Kansas State 3-2 and 1-1, as is TCU, Texas Tech, and Texas. Kansas is 3-1 overall, but 0-1 in the conference. West Virginia 0-3 already in conference play. To the Big 10 we go. Nebraska and Iowa in the West Division are both 2-0. Nebraska 5-0 overall. Iowa 4-1. Minnesota comes in at 2-2. They are 3-3 overall. Wisconsin is 1-2. They are 3-2 overall. Purdue 0-1. They haven't won a game yet this season. And Northwestern and Illinois are both 0-2 and 2-3 overall. Over in the East, Ohio State and Michigan and Penn State are all undefeated in conference. Ohio State, the only team that's undefeated overall. Penn State and Michigan are both 4-1 overall. Maryland is 2-1, and they are 2-3 overall. Michigan State 1-1 in conference, 4-1 overall. Rutgers 1-3, 2-3 overall. And the Hoosiers are 0-2, 1-4 overall. The Independents, this is where we're at. Army at 3-1, Notre Dame at 4-2, New Mexico State at 3-3, Pacific is 2-3, we are 1-3, and BYU is 1-5. So hopefully we can get our second win of the season this week against this FCS team, the Cal Poly Mustangs, and go to 2-3 with 7 games remaining. All right, let's look at the MAC East Division. Kent State 3-0 in conference. They're 4-2 overall. UMass 1-0. They are 2-3 overall. Buffalo and Miami of Ohio are both 1-0. Akron is 1-1 in the conference. Bowling Green 1-2. They're 1-5 overall though. Ohio 0-1, 2-2 overall. Let's check out the West Division of the MAC as we roll through these conferences here. Toledo 2-1, 3-3 overall. Eastern Michigan 1-1, 2-2 overall. Ball State 1-1, 3-2 overall. NIU is 0-1, they're 1-3 overall. I expect them to turn things around here in conference play. Central Michigan and Western Michigan are both 0-2 and 1-5. I know this isn't the most exciting episode, but it's just chock full of some pertinent information that make all the other episodes more enjoyable in my opinion. So hopefully you guys stick through some of this information and digest it, and it helps you have a better experience through all the other episodes. All right, Conference USA is led by Florida Atlantic at 3-0. They're 4-1 overall. Florida International is 4-0 and 1-0 in conference. UTSA is undefeated in conference as well. The Mountain Division of the Mountain West, Boise State, no surprise, they're 2-0, 3-2 overall. New Mexico and Wyoming are both 1-0 in conference. Utah State's 1-1, they're 4-2 overall. Colorado State has yet to play a conference game. They are 2-2, and Air Force is 0-4 in the Mountain West, 1-5 overall, down year for the Falcons. All right, the West Division, San Jose State 2-0, they're 3-2 overall. San Diego State is 1-0, 3-2 overall. Hawaii 2-1, they are 2-3 overall. We'll play them in 2 weeks. Well, next week, I should say. We play Hawaii next week. Nevada 1-2, 2-3 overall. We'll play them eventually this season too. UNLV 0-1, 3-2 overall though. Fresno State is 0-2 in conference play. All right, to the Pac-12 we go. We're starting to get to the end of these conferences. Stanford 3-0, 5-0 overall. Oregon 2-0, 3-1 overall. Oregon's only loss was to Tennessee. Washington State 2-1, 4-2 overall. Oregon State 1-1. They're 4-1 overall. Washington also is 4-1. So the Beavers are 2 wins away from bowl eligibility. California struggling a bit at 0-2 and 1-3 overall, and we play Cal last game of the season. South Division. Utah at 2-0, they are undefeated at 5-0. Arizona State 1-1, they're 2-2. UCLA and Arizona both 0-1, but they're 3-1 overall. Colorado and USC are both 0-2 in Pac-12 play. Colorado's 2-3 overall. USC is 1-3. All right, let's move on to the SEC. Florida and Georgia tied for the lead in this division. That's not really a surprise. They're both 3-0. Florida is 5-0 though. Georgia lost the season opener to Clemson and then have won 4 in a row. 3 of those games being SEC games. South Carolina 2-1, 3-1. Missouri 4-1, but they are 0-1 in conference play. Auburn in the West Division. Everybody in the West Division has lost a conference game already. Auburn at 2-1. Arkansas, A&M, Mississippi State, and Alabama are all 1-1. And those 1 losses for all of those teams are the only losses that they've had all season. Ole Miss is 1-2, they're 2-3 overall, and LSU with Joe Burrow is 1-2 in conference play. All right, the Sun Belt, Louisiana 4-1 overall, they're 1-0 in conference. South Alabama 2-0, 2-3 in conference. Arkansas State 1-0, 2-4 in conference. We play Western Kentucky, who's 1-1 and 2-3 overall. We also play Texas State, who's 0-1 in the Sun Belt and 2-3 overall. Those games are coming up later in the season. All right, is your school still undefeated? This is what the undefeated graphic looked like coming into this week, and this is what it looks like now. So we lost about 8 teams. We've got Baylor, Memphis, Florida State, Clemson, Utah, Stanford, Oklahoma, Houston, Florida, Ohio State, Virginia, FIU, Cincinnati, and Nebraska left. Those are the teams that are undefeated heading into week 7 of action. We don't really have a preview for Cal Poly because it's an FCS school. We don't have much information about them. And we are going to go into this matchup at Titan Stadium as a 15-point favorite. All right, let's quickly look at some other games that we're going to have highlights of this week. Memphis at Houston, number 21 at number 23. Both teams are undefeated. Something's got to give. I'm giving Houston a 1.5-point edge there. Oregon at number 11 will face number 12 Washington on the road. Both teams with one loss this season. I'm going with Oregon 3.5. Now, I mean, take these with a grain of salt. It's just me throwing out numbers of what I think the spread would be. It's not even necessarily who I think will win. It's just what I think the spread would be looking at their season so far and whatnot. So game number 3 is Michigan at Penn State. Number 9 at number 16. I'm going to give Michigan a 4.5-point edge there. Missouri at Georgia. Georgia, number 9 in the country. They've won 4 in a row. I'm going to give them 16.5 points. Utah hosting Stanford at 4.5 points. Florida on the road at LSU. I'm going with Florida, 9.5 points. LSU has struggled. Oklahoma at 13.5 against Texas in a neutral site game. Baylor, I give them 5.5 over Kansas State. Boise State on the road at Utah State. I'm going with Boise State 3.5. And then Temple at Cincinnati. I'm going with Cincinnati 21.5 at home against the Owls. All right, that's it for episode number 21. It's our Week 7 preview. Up next, it'll be game day on Mama's Basement as we take on the Cal Poly Mustangs.